What made you decide to want to talk about appreciation?
That's like one of the main things that stuck with me from the leadership course, like the love languages. I don't know why I was so blown away because it sounds so simple now, but I just always used to get frustrated with my friends, my peers, even my parents, like anyone, just because I thought that I was never appreciated in the way that I wanted. And then that simple quiz or that simple book that we read just explained it all perfectly for me. And I was like, wow, I was frustrated for no reason. I made all of my friends take the quizzes after I graduated, and I told everyone about it, and they also agreed with me.
Feeling appreciated is such an important need that every person has. The fascinating thing, Sarah, is that appreciation means different things to different people. And in our leadership class, we talked about the five love languages. Also, the authors have written a book called The Five Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace. So it's the same five love languages, just one book is more in context for intimate and personal relationships, and the other is about workplace relationship. And I asked you guys, as all my classes, to take the quiz. Just takes a few minutes to do it online. I'll even post a link to it in the show notes, and so that other people can access it. And like you said, it seems so simple, but it really does make a difference. So tell us, do you remember the five love languages?
Yeah, I think it was quality time, acts of service, words of appreciation, physical touch, and gift giving.
Yes. Yep, those are the five. And the most common one is words of affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
We need to hear, thank you. You did an excellent job on that project. The second one, quality time. It's not just about your body is there with another person.
Mm-hmm.
It's about not being distracted, not being on your phone, having conversation, like fully in communication, present with somebody else. The acts of service. Number three is doing something for another person to help relieve the burden. Whatever their workload is. Say a coworker has a big project coming up. If you were to say to them, hey, I have an extra 30 minutes tonight. Can I help you with something? Let me know what I can do. Being able to help someone. The fourth is gifts, which is a small gift. It's not about the money or the value of the money, but rather that you actually think about someone and able to purchase and give them something. And then the fifth one is physical touch, which this is the only one where there's a little bit of a distinction between the personal love languages and the languages of appreciation in the workplace, because it's obviously very different. Physical touch is very important to me too in my relationships, but in the workplace, of course, we have healthy boundaries and we do appropriate things, but generally in the workplace, the main ones are those first four that we talked about. Do you remember what's your primary love language?
Mine was acts of service and quality time. They were tied for each other,
Mm.
which makes a lot of sense.
And that made a lot of sense to you. So tell us a little bit more, because you shared how you felt frustrated and didn't feel
Yeah.
appreciated before. And these love languages, languages of appreciation, help put it into context for you. So tell us a little bit about the process.
In all of my relationships, even if it's just work relationships or like just friends or whoever I'm seeing. But I just always used to get really frustrated when people would cancel plans with no warning or coming late to things, because I'm a very punctual person. So I will always be there on the dot because I value my own time and I value other people's times. Yeah, see. Um, but it just made sense when I took the quiz and it came up as, oh, quality time or acts of service. I'm like, oh, that's why I get so mad when people don't value my time as well. And acts of service, I'm always offering help to other people. And whenever someone offers me help, I'm blown away. I'm like, wow, you want to help me out with like my chores or just editing my essay or whatever it is. It just means a lot to me.
Yeah, Sarah, I feel like I relate a lot to what you're saying. Me personally, I'm a weird scenario, because there's one that's the lowest score, but then I have very equal scores in four. So
Oh,
some
wow.
people might be like, oh, well, that's great. Show you any sign of love. And so, well, actually, I think you need to show me all of them. So there might be some people out there who are fairly evenly distributed and like need all of the love languages. Like for me, the one on the very bottom is gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And not because I don't love gifts. I do. I enjoy them very much. The issue is any reasonable human being would agree that all five of these languages are loving things.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is we have a primary and secondary one that if we don't get those, we don't feel appreciated or loved, even if we get the other one. So in my case, gifts is the lowest one. So if
Mm-hmm.
I don't get quality time and words of affirmation, getting a gift doesn't replace that. But knowing helps us to understand, just like it helped you to understand,
Yeah.
Jason. That's why I get so upset when I don't get these things. And even in relationships, I know so many couples where one's primary is the other's lowest and vice versa. So that can
That
some
must be tricky.
that can be tricky, but the key is, okay, I know my partner, my coworker. I know this person needs words of affirmation. People can say thank you to me all they want. That's not going to fill me up, right? If a person doesn't speak words of affirmation, they'll think those words are nice words, of course, but that's not what fills them up. If they're a
Mm-hmm.
person whose acts of service is first, like if you do something for them, that's going to show your appreciation for them, even if that doesn't come naturally to you. So it's that same concept, and I'm really glad that you found it helpful.
Mm-hmm.
How has that translated from your personal relationships and your family and your friend circle to now moving into your advanced degree studies? Because now you're in school. Have
Mm-hmm.
you been able to see it happen with classmates or even in work environments? I know you've typically worked in the world of eye health.
So in the workplace, we're in labs a lot, and we're learning skills to become obviously optometrists, become doctors. And it's not always that professors are available to help us. So it's a lot of us working together, figuring out problems. So I always think that it's great when my peers, some of them I don't even know well, but they always offer to teach me some skills that I don't know, or spend time with me, or we're always willing to give time because we know it's important. So that's where my love languages come in. But if I want to say, oh, hey, do you want to practice this skill on a Saturday, 8 a.m., they'll be like, yeah, of course, whenever. And I'll be there for them as well. So I feel like it's really present in any relationship.
You said that you had your friends take it when we spoke about it in class. Have
Hmm.
you had conversations with other people outside of your family about the love languages?
Yeah, I made all of my friends who were interested enough. I made them. I probably at least 5 of them, and I just feel like everyone should take it because how else would we ever know how to appreciate someone if we don't ever take the time to acknowledge it? I just find it crazy that we didn't think of this before to like everyone take it.
I agree with you, Sarah. So, one of my missions in the world is to share the work. Gary Chapman, Paul White, these authors, they've created these wonderful tools for us. And the quiz is free, and you can get the books if you like
Hmm.
to keep exploring, but it's definitely valuable. And I think that it enhances every human relationship. What's the most recent thing you did to show your appreciation for somebody else?
I think I've been more words of affirmation lately in my giving of appreciation, only because of like my time constraints with school, and I'm mostly in Philadelphia, where all of my friends and family are in New Jersey, so I can't really see them as much. But I always take the time to text them before a new chapter, new job, new first day, new something, and I'll be like, "Hey, I believe in you. I appreciate you. Like, don't be stressed. You'll get through this, and I'll be here to talk about it when you're done." I just try to make an effort with that.
Right. And you make a good point because distance is such a real issue for so many of us that are removed from our families physically. We're left with fewer options. And I think the words is going to take a front seat to a lot of the ways that we can tell people how much we care. If you had to sum up your entire message in one sentence, Sarah, for people listening, whether they're a student or a student of life, whatever stage in their career and their education they're in, what is your message for them?
Well, my takeaway message would definitely be before you get frustrated with someone for how they're behaving or how you don't feel appreciated, take the time to understand where they're coming from, see if maybe there's a way that they're appreciating you in a style that you don't recognize before you make conclusions that, oh, this person just hates me or I will just never be appreciated. That will save you so much frustration and also just have you acknowledge that there's different styles out there.
And the key word, right? Frustration. We do
Mm-hmm.
experience a ton of frustration in our relationships with people where it seems like we're just not on the same page. And also I think it's important to check in when we're frustrated. There's a direct relationship between our feelings of frustration and our boundaries. So sometimes it's not a matter of appreciation alone. Sometimes there's also, we might need to do a little bit work on establishing healthy boundaries. So that's just a little side note I want to add into that. But certainly, when it comes to frustration about appreciation, it's a matter of taking a simple test. Now, let's say you had to put your message on a t-shirt. So you only have room for a few words. How do you shorten the message to fit on a shirt?
I think I would say, I might not appreciate you in the way you want to appreciate me. If that's too long.
That's a deep thought, which is big, everything that we're talking about right now, and vice versa. And Sarah, what's a skill from our class, or even in any area of your life, that you're still working on? Something that you're like, I'm still continuing to grow in this thing.
Just definitely like being positive and thinking of yourself in a positive way. One thing that always stuck with me is what you said is speak to yourself like you're speaking to your best friend. And if you don't use those words for your best friend, then why do you allow yourself to use those words for yourself in your head? Because even though it's just you listening, it still matters.
It's so fascinating how you repeating the words that I shared in class back to me, like I actually have a physical response to that. Like I can feel what you're saying, and
Mm-hmm.
there's such strength and power in that messaging, because the majority of people will have self-defeating thoughts, will have a very strong inner critic. And one of the biggest lessons of my adult life, and I had not yet learned this lesson when I was in college. It took many years after to come to the understanding that I need to be my own best friend. And that's the way that I need
Mm-hmm.
to speak to myself. That really helped reframe the way that I spoke to myself, or the things that I think about myself. And it's ongoing, but definitely we need to take really good care of ourselves. Speaking of taking really good care of ourselves, what is the most recent thing that you did for yourself that was just for fun, something good for you?
Just have like these hours in a week wherever I get time to myself. I just call it my self-care sessions. So I just like light up a candle, I do a face mask, a hair mask, and I'll grab my favorite Ben and Jerry's ice cream, half baked. It's amazing, try it. And then I'll just watch some Netflix or some rom-com. I just call it like my self-care session. But it's something that I like to do. I don't need someone to be there with me. I just like to be there with myself for a few hours.
That sounds lovely. That sounds like, really nice relaxation moment for you. I love that, Sarah. What if, Sarah, you were able to go back in time to talk to your 18-year-old self? What would you say?
I would definitely say to savor every moment of it, because now I'm 24 and I can't believe that I'm closer to 30 than I was to 18. So I would definitely say just enjoy being a kid, stop being in a rush. Well, I mean, 18-year-olds as much of a kid as you'll be as a young adult, but just stop being in a rush to, oh, I can't wait to graduate. I can't wait to get my own place. Like just really savor the moment that you're in. And I would also tell her not to stress out so much, because I know I did. College is stressful, but yeah, I would just say enjoy college, enjoy time with your friends, your family, because you'll never get that time again.
And that's good advice no matter what age you are, because even at my age, in your 40s, you might tend to want to, I can't wait till this, or when this happens,
Mm-hmm.
or if only, or when. And
Yeah,
really all we have is right now,
yeah.
enjoying this season that we're in, even when it's difficult, finding things that we can appreciate. You shared the skill that you're continuing to work on. What about something that you're really proud of yourself for, a skill that you're like, I feel good about that?
I think you talked about how it's important to celebrate even the smallest achievements. So I've been doing that. Sometimes I might overdo it and allow myself to watch a little bit more Netflix than I should, but I try to make use of that, because it just makes getting through exams, classes, whatever hard task, a hard week, whatever, it just makes it so much easier knowing that, hey, I did that. I deserve a little break, and I should acknowledge that it's something to celebrate.
Absolutely. And you used a key word, acknowledge,
Mm-hmm.
because it's so easy, especially in an environment like college where there's so much to achieve and complete and do, and so many assignments. But to take a moment to at least acknowledge, I finished this was so stressful and I
Mm-hmm.
did it. Otherwise, it's life just goes by so fast and it's too crazy, and then it becomes all about the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, without ever celebrating. And that's something that a counselor of mine taught me years ago. Celebrate even the small victories, because it's
Yeah.
still a victory. Is there anything that you want to share with those students, maybe students who were in your shoes, people who they know that college isn't the final stop in terms of their education? What are some things you could think of to share with students who are now in the place that you were?
I would definitely tell them to always be organized and don't have a strict schedule. Like, don't be upset with yourself if you can't get to that one task today. The point of a schedule is just so you recognize what you have to do that week or that course of time, just so you know not to let you forget it. Definitely be organized, definitely appreciate what you have, enjoy every moment you can. Just because you're in your full-time job or you're in your undergrad studies or you're in your graduate studies doesn't mean you can't still act like a little kid sometimes and enjoy your free time with your friends and family. Like, you deserve that. And life isn't about the chase. That's definitely another important thing. Don't think, oh, I'll be happy when I graduate college. I'll be happy when I finally get married, or I'll be happy when this. Enjoy yourself now, because you are stuck with you for the rest of your life. So you might as well like yourself.
Sarah, I really appreciate you coming in, taking the time to remind me, remind everybody listening that appreciation is a big deal. And we need to feel appreciated and also express that appreciation to others.
Mm-hmm.
The love languages and the 5 languages of appreciation in the workplace by Gary Chapman and Paul White is an excellent, excellent resource that we can share. And also that we need to be kind to ourselves, the way we speak to ourselves, and to be present and enjoy what we have right now. Find the beauty in those things. Thank you,
Mm-hmm.
Sarah.
Of course, you're welcome.